Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Let's Max Warframe. Today we're going to be taking a look at another of the Syndicate secondary weapons obtainable from the Cephalon Suda, the Synoid Gammacor. Though the Synoid, as I say, is obtainable from the Cephalon Suda at the rank of Genius, and then spending a whopping 100,000 standing with them to pick up this weapon. So what do you actually get for your reputation? Quite frankly, you get the best short range secondary in the game. The weapon itself is a purely magnetic based secondary, dealing 210 pure magnetic damage, which is then 160 more than the standard Gammacor. It also comes with an amazing 20% status chance per second, an amazing magazine size of 75, and an extremely low ammo consumption, as you can see in the footage. You can seemingly fire forever with this thing, and you really don't ever have to worry about running out of ammo. It's also pinpoint accurate, comes with 2 polarities, and is completely silent. In addition to all of that, it comes with the entropy effect built into the weapon. Now all of this does come at a price, however, and that price is the weapon hits no further than 25 meters, which is very low. So if you're on a longer range map, then a long range primary would be best to be combined with this. Otherwise you're going to be outranged for most of the game. Now I just want to talk a little bit about that entropy proc. The entropy proc works in the same way as the other procs I've talked about before, in terms of the accruing 2000 affinity to charge the meter. However, when it releases, it sends out a wave of 1000 magnetic damage, restoring 25% of your Warframe's max energy, and buffing your maximum energy by 25% for 30 seconds. Now this is absolutely awesome, especially if you're using a very energy hungry frame. Using this, even if you only use it to passively get XP, can be seriously useful. On a personal note, I've been using this while playing Necros. Energy can be an issue if you're using Desecrate a ton. I personally let my clanmates fill the bar while I'm using the Desecrate, and when the entropy procs, it gives me more than enough energy to be able to continue the use of the ability. I do want to discuss my views on something related to the Synoid Gammacor, but also including the other weapons that restore energy rather than health. Personally, I find this to be the weaker of the two side effects. Currently, if the weapons that restore health proc while you're down, it will give you 25% health no matter what your state, and will actually revive you. Now there's not been any word as to whether that's intentional or not. Personally, I hope it's not, since it really overshadows the usefulness of the energy giving procs. When at higher level, the health giving procs basically become god mode, since one energy can give enough affinity to proc the revive. I really hope this is a bug and that it gets fixed, since it's rather overpowered right now. However, if it is intentional, then the energy giving proc needs its own niche in a similar sort of fashion. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this in the comments, as to how you feel about the difference between the two procs, and whether that self-revive should actually stay or not. Okay, so let's move on to taking a look at how we're going to mod the Synoid Gammacor. Now this does come with 2 polarities as standard. It comes with a D polarity and a dash polarity. And the first thing we're going to do with the weapon is we're going to add 4 forma, and we're going to change that D polarity into something more useful like a V polarity. There really isn't enough mods in the game that have a D polarity that are going to be of use to this weapon. So changing it out really is going to make modding this weapon for a max build so much easier. Now along with that extra V polarity that we're going to get from changing the D, we're going to get also 2 Vs and a dash. Now we have got 3 mods only that are going to remain the same between all 3 of our builds. Hornet Strike, Barrel Diffusion and Lethal Torrent. These are going to be the only ones that remain the same between the 3. And as you can see, we're going for a max elemental build. Nothing else on here, elemental and status. Now for our grenade build, we're going to go Convulsion, Heated Charge and Jolt, which is going to bring up radiation, and Frostbite and Pathogen rounds for viral. Now as you can see, we're only going with 2 of the 3 dual stat, elemental and status mods here. That is because it brings up 80% status per second anyway, which means on this weapon you're going to be proccing, well, 80% of the time. So there really isn't the need to be putting more on there and to lose more elemental damage for that extra bit of status. Now moving on to the Corpus build, we're going to go with Convulsion, Frostbite, Jolt, Pistol Pestilence and Pathogen rounds. Now I know this build looks like I've just gone against what I've just said in the previous build. However, since the D-Slot Polarity Deep Freeze mod for cold damage does 60% damage, and so does the Frostbite, the Dual Stat Elemental and Status mod, there is no reason not to have Frostbite on here. And since Convulsion is already on here with Jolt, there's nothing more we can do in terms of maxing out that magnetic damage. So for the Corpus build we get a little bit extra status without actually losing any elemental. And since we're boosting the base elemental of magnetic anyway, it's a lot of magnetic damage. So for our second elemental we're going to just go with pure toxin with pathogen rounds and pistol pestilence, which is going to bring up almost 3000 toxin damage on this weapon. That's going to really deal with those fleshier Corpus units, things like the crewmen and the techs. And looking at the Void build, we're going to max out our corrosive. We're going to go pathogen rounds, convulsion, jolt and pistol pestilence, which is going to max out the corrosive, and we're going to go with heated charge for that extra heat damage against those void units. Plus, since we've got the magnetic damage on here, this is a very well rounded void build. Since you've got the corrosive to deal with the heavily armoured units, things like the heavy gunners, you got heated charge to deal with the lighter troops in there, and then you've got magnetic to deal with those shielded units in the void. As I say, it makes it a very well rounded, very good build for the void. So onto my recommendation, and is this weapon worth the grind? And oh man, it seriously is. I'll be honest, when I first used and leveled the standard Gammacor, I wasn't exactly blown away. My comments to clan members was that it was bland, not very exciting and not very good. And to be honest, I always thought that I would be sat here doing this video telling you the Synoid was only going to be good against Corpus and nothing else. But quite frankly, I was absolutely blown away. The combination of the damage on the weapon, the status for not losing elemental damage, plus one of the best looking reloads of any weapon in the game, and I was hooked. When I tested the Melloc and the Akbolso, I thought nothing could get better than this. Then I picked up the Synoid and I loved it. I've actually not unequipped it since. If it wasn't for the range, then this would be my weapon of choice for absolutely everything. But for close range engagements on closed in maps like the Grineer Galleon or the Corpus ship, then look no further. There is a new king of the close range secondaries. In terms of further modding this weapon, there really isn't anything more that you can do with it. There are a few personal preference things you could do, for example putting Magnum Force on, although personally I found that going with more elemental was going to be more effective than that. Also there is the possibility of putting punch through on weapon with the use of the Seeker mod, which isn't a terrible option, especially for low level enemies, and fits without the need for a additional forma. As of when this video comes out, the actual extended range mod for this weapon doesn't currently work on the weapon. However, when it does come out and when it does work on the weapon, then that actually may also be an option as well. So in essence, the Synoid Gammacor is a short range powerhouse, a ton of damage while being held back by the range. An ideal sidearm for any budding sniper, close range and silent. It's quickly become probably my favourite secondary weapon in the game, in the one day that I've had it. Just a quick reminder from me, the next Prime access ends on Tuesday the 9th of December. So if you want to get the Prime Targus armor that you can see me wearing, then make sure you can pick it up quickly. On the same point, this means that a new Prime will be appearing very soon. My plan is to do some streaming as soon as the new Primes appear, and I will post a video on my channel to let you know when I'm going to be streaming. I've always done runs with viewers in the past and the plan is to be doing them again. I've not actually streamed in quite some time to try and focus on doing my YouTube content, plus all the backgrounds things associated with that. However, for weeks with things like primes being released, events and also major updates, I'm going to be trying to stream a little bit more, since I can answer more relevant questions during streams than I could in a video. In the meantime, make sure to check out another Warframe streamer and a friend of mine, Tuma. His stream has great content and is always good for asking questions, and I'll put a link in the description below. Feel free to check him out. As always guys, many thanks for watching. Please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. It helps me out a ton, and I shall see you in the next episode.